Hi guys, my name is Tieti Munare. For all those that do not know, I am a South African living in Japan, and I recently started making videos about my life here, the things that I get up to, and basically anything that I find interesting that I could post on YouTube. This week, I want us to talk about undocumented immigrants, or just the whole subject of immigration at large, since I am now also an immigrant. Now I live abroad. I don't look anything like the people that live in this country. I live in Japan, in case you missed that bit. The reason this topic came up is because something really funny, something silly is happening here in Japan to address the undocumented immigrant situation. And the way they're doing it is there is a prefecture here called Ibaraki Prefecture. Prefecture is the same as province in South Africa or a state in America, in the United States of America. In Japan here, we have 47 prefectures. And basically the lamest, the least cool prefecture in all of Japan is called Ibaraki. And they came up with this policy that was tabled sometime in February, if I'm not mistaken. And they are rewarding people 10,000 yen. That is about $63 or maybe 950, close to 1,000 South African rands. They are rewarding people 10,000 yen for, wait for it, for snitching. Right, for snitching on undocumented immigrants. But here's the thing though. So just so as to not mislead people or to be like what they do on social media or in the news when they sensationalize things, they will pay someone who brings good information that actually leads to enforceable action 10,000 yen if you give up information regarding a company that is hiring or that has someone employed for them who is an undocumented immigrant or who is working under false papers, false visa documentations. For example, if I were to be here as a student, like I'm on a student visa, but then I work as a doctor, obviously that's too far-fetched. I'm on a student visa and I work in a factory packing boxes, packing delivery goods. That is the aim. That is wrong because my visa means I should be here studying, right? So those are the people that the government or actually in this case, the prefectural government, so it's at that low level, they are giving people a reward for snitching or for giving out information on such individuals. In fact, not on the individual themselves, but the company that hires that said person. So for example, if I worked for Nakamura Packaging, this is just a made-up company, doesn't exist. And at Nakamura Packaging, they don't care what my visa is, or they didn't even bother to look. And my visa, let's say, happens to be a student visa, but now I'm working there as a cleaner, or I'm working there as a person that packs and delivers items and goods. That company will get into trouble. But we all know the company is not the only thing that's going to get in trouble. I, as the person with the wrong visa, will also get into trouble. Yeah? So yes, you might say, well, Japan is doing their best to curb this, terrible scourge of undocumented immigrants that is apparently a big problem for many people across the world. And I say apparently is a big problem for many people across the world because in my home country as well, in South Africa, man, there's been a big hullabaloo, a big hoorah about undocumented immigrants. And I feel like in South Africa, they don't even care. Just any immigrant from the African continent, they will target you. Why, guys? I really, really don't get it. Julius Malema put it very, very clearly. He's like, you guys went out there, you marched, you screamed and shouted about undocumented immigrants, you whipped them, you threw stones at them, and you kicked them out of the country. Did that create jobs? Because that is like the biggest complaint that people are having in both Japan or South Africa. I mean, everywhere else, in Europe as well, the Americas as well. People are stating that undocumented immigrants are there, one, stealing jobs, 2, committing crimes, and for the case of South Africa, very funny, stealing their women, raping their children, selling drugs, all sorts of things that are negative are being associated with undocumented immigrants. Like, look, I am not denying that there are undocumented immigrants all over the world. And I'm not denying that it can be a problem for many countries. But it is not the biggest problem. It is not such a huge problem that people need to be marched against. And those poor people, man, it's not even their fault, to be honest. The fault is law enforcement, the people that are not enforcing the laws at the borders, at home affairs, foreign affairs, wherever it is where people can get passports or visas or any permission to stay in a country. They are the ones that should be doing their jobs, you know? They are the ones that should be controlling this problem. Don't you think so? I've had lots of conversations with my friends, and in South Africa, I know people that I grew up with, people that I know for a fact that they are not xenophobic. They do not dislike immigrants or foreigners, any other foreigners, but they are so strong or so hell-bent on this idea that Nigerians, for example, West Africans, are just in South Africa to commit crimes, to sell drugs, and to do all sorts of unkosher things. Yes, fine. You know, there are people that are not good, but one bad apple, does not mean the whole bag is spoiled. Yeah, this has been quite a difficult or a sensitive topic for me because, well, you know, I'm part of the pack now. I also live outside of South Africa. I live outside of my home country. I'm an immigrant in Japan. And like it or not, people look at me in the same light. It doesn't matter whether I work for like an amazing company and I pay my taxes and I live as legally as possible, and I'm doing so great now that, you know, I'm very close to getting permanent residency. Crossing fingers, I'm hoping it comes. It doesn't matter. Just the hype and everything associated now with immigrants is just so appalling all over the world. It's really, really unacceptable in a way, you know. And I'll take you back, once again, to what Julius Malema. Julius Malema is, for those who do not know, for people who might be watching this video from outside of South Africa, Julius Malema is the president of the Economic Freedom Fighters, which is a political party in South Africa, short EFF. And he's quite a big advocate of open borders across the African continent. I'm not sure how much of a great idea it is to do it all at once, but I don't mind it. Let's go for it. You know, in Europe, people travel back and forth between countries without any problems. No stamping your passport here, nada. Why can't we have that in Africa? Well, I can tell you why. Because it's actually the Western world that has caused so much division between Africans. But those are stories for another day. Anyway, Julius Malema, he put it very well during the massive, or not even that massive, but just the hype and craziness about people marching against, or not marching, actually taking matters into their own hands to try and find out whether people have got legal documents or they can stay in South Africa legally. And he said, like, yeah, you guys did all of that. You know, you spend the whole day walking around, beating people, intimidating people. Now that you got them out of the country, fine. Now that you got them arrested, whatever, any undocumented immigrant that you could find. Now that you've done that, have you created a job now? Do you yourself have a job? You know, did your girlfriend come back to you, the one that was stolen by this immigrant? Did they now come back to you and be like, oh, daddy, yeah, take me back? This guy, Onyekachi Okonko, was trying to steal me. Kembo Ikoko, you know, he had the job that you wanted. Now you can go. Come on, guys. I mean, I know I sound like a buffoon and clownery, but is it really that bad? Is it really? I've looked at the stats here in Japan. Japan's population is a little over 115 million people, maybe 120 million or so. Population has been declining for quite some time. But 120 million people versus the foreigners. Foreigners here in Japan, we make up 5% at most. There's about maybe between 6 and 7 million of us here, if my math is okay, if I remember correct. And about 90% of us that are here as immigrants, we do the same job, bruh. Either we are English teachers, or is the Filipinos that work at old age homes, or Nepalese that own Indian shops. Big ups to those guys though, because Indian food here is divine. It's delicious. I love it. Oh, naan with dal curry. Ooh, curry. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, but you see, that's just the thing. And the same is, or not the same, it's similar in South Africa. So the total population of South Africa, when I left South Africa in 2017, was around 58 million-ish or so. And now, like, I can't say it's anything above 65 million. In South Africa, there's probably 62 million odd people, South Africans. And immigrants make up between 3 and 5% as well. There's probably like 4 million immigrants in South Africa. 40% of those are all from Zimbabwe. But Zimbabwe is like right next door. You can't even tell the difference between a South African and a Zimbabwean if you walk past them in the street, man. In the streets of Tokyo, that is. Or anywhere for that matter. But yeah, but what I'm getting at is the numbers are so small in terms of immigrants or foreigners, however you want to call them. The numbers are so small. And smaller even are the undocumented ones. You can't tell me from the 4 or 5 million people that are in South Africa who are foreigners, you can't tell me 50% or more than 50% are undocumented immigrants. That's almost impossible, near impossible. Same way with Japan. I mean, it's so hard to even get into Japan in the first place. I believe most of the people that are undocumented here or who are staying in Japan illegally is they got in here legally and then maybe the visa expired and they couldn't get it renewed, or just something happened and then they couldn't extend the current visa, whatever visa that they're on. That's, yeah, it's not like in South Africa, or America, where people can just jump the border or sneak their way into it easily. Japan is an island. You'll have to take a boat. The nearest country outside of Japan is it South Korea? Maybe Shanghai in China, or even Taiwan. But Taiwan in the sense of you being close to Ishigaki in Okinawa Prefecture, all the way down south. But yeah, actually, now that I think about it, the easiest way to get into Japan would be from Busan to Nagasaki by ferry, right? Yeah. Or you go to Tsushima, which it takes like an hour from Busan to Tsushima. But from Tsushima into mainland, that's quite a trip as well. Yeah, I'm not trying to give people ideas on how to get into Japan illegally. What I'm just saying is it is difficult to get into Japan illegally. So you might have gotten here with a proper visa at first, maybe couldn't renew it, and now you're either stuck here or now you're living here in the shadows. And do think about it, People who are undocumented tend to live in the shadows. They try not to cause too much hullabaloo. Why would you want to commit a crime when you're undocumented? You're like a sitting duck. You'll get caught very, very easily. In the case of Japan, I mean, in South Africa, I know law enforcement is not as good as it can be in certain things. If the law in South Africa, in terms of foreign policy or immigrants, people coming in and out, immigration, if it was as good as the law being enforced on taxes, like if that department worked as hard as South African Revenue Services, SARS, then I am telling you, there definitely wouldn't be a problem. Because SARS, man, those guys, they never sleep. Any penny that you owe, they will get it. Why can't Home Affairs be the same? Stop selling passports to people. Make sure they qualify. Make the laws maybe a little bit stricter to getting in. I know South African laws in terms of moving to South Africa, they're not as strict as, for example, here in Japan or in China or South Korea. Because, to be honest, South Africa, man, we are a nice country. We are nice people. We are very accepting and we are very open. And that's why many people who do take advantage of that manage to get in. And if they have bad intentions, yes, that's why they can get away with it, because our laws are also just, or like law enforcement is just not top notch, you know. It's top notch in many other things. Like I know environmental laws in South Africa are so good, but other things are just not up there, not up to scratch, especially enforcement. Like we can have it on paper that, oh my God, these are the rules, these are the policies, and they are great. But just to enforce it, just to get it right, making sure that people don't take bribes at home affairs, people don't give people visas easily. That is what the problem is. And that's always the case. I feel, in my opinion, this is not a fact or anything, but I feel like that is always the case in South Africa or many other parts of the world, is that instead of government officials, the people that we elected and voted for, instead of them actually taking responsibility and doing the jobs that we have entrusted them with, they create these little distractions. They create these marches or these xenophobic attacks, so that when I say created, I mean they like really encourage it. They get like a mole, somebody in there to start it, to spark it, to divert from what the real issues are. And the real issues are government officials actually doing their jobs. I mean, it's not Peter Ndlovu down the street who forgot to renew his passport, okay, not forgot, like just didn't renew his passport and stays in South Africa illegally, or in Japan for that matter. Yes, people can be desperate and they will do whatever it takes to stay, to be comfortable. Tell me, have you not committed like a small little crime? Like, have you ever not been stopped by a cop and then be like, Twara Koli, here, take $50, $100 so that you can get scot-free? People do that. So undocumented immigrants will also take the chance when their walls are against the wall. The walls are against the wall. When their backs against the wall. When you are against the ropes, my man, when you are desperate, you will do whatever it takes. Especially if you've got a family, you've got children, that you've got mouths to feed, and you know going back home is just not the answer. And we've all heard it before. In fact, we all know this. Not many people leave their home countries just for the fun of it. People leave mostly because it's a need, it's a must. They're desperate. It's either they're running away from instability, political instability, wars, like for refugee status, etc. Or you get people like me leaving for better opportunities, and also because, you know, I'm just plain curious. I wanted to find out what the world is like outside of South Africa. Yes, people do leave for such reasons at times. But to be in a situation where you are undocumented or you are staying illegally, it's not because you are a bad person and you just want to do it. Yeah, fine, I accept there are some people, yes, they're a little bit cuckoo in the head, but I don't think that's the majority. And that's why I don't think it's not such a big problem. Yes, on the ground, yes, you might seem like, oh my God, these Pakistanis, they've got these paza shops or tuck shops, like little corner shops in the townships. You might think, yeah, this is something that a South African could be doing. But how many South Africans are doing it? How many? Like, it's the same. We've heard this in America as well, where they're like, get the Mexicans out, but then they don't want to do the jobs that the Mexicans are doing. Same here in Japan. Labor force is dying in Japan. This is an aging society. Without immigrants, Japan is facing a dark future, a very bleak future. I mean, I always joke that Japanese people would rather see the country go to the pits than let people come in, than let foreigners come in, especially if it's foreigners of color, people of color, because they have no problems with white people. They have no problems with white Americans or Europeans. They are cool. In fact, those ones they actually love. Crazy. I don't want to make this like a racial thing. I don't want to be the black versus white or whatever, Asians versus Africans or Northeast Asia versus Southeast. No, I don't want to make it like that. But the reality is just that. The Vietnamese, the Philippines, whatever, even the Chinese, whoever is here, most of them are working and they are documented and they pay taxes and they're doing a stellar job that many people can't do or many people are not willing to do in this country. But then here comes Ibaraki. Ibaraki Prefecture is like, you know what? We are going to give 10,000 yen for people who give credible information. Yes, so I'm gonna be clear on that, because there's been lots of over dramatization or over sensationalize how, oh no, Japanese people are paid are gonna get paid to snitch, which is actually, I do have a story about snitching, which I'll tell you now. And that actually makes me think that Japanese people would do it. There's going to be lots and lots of snitching coming up. But yeah, Ibaraki Prefecture is now paying people 10,000 yen if you give credible information that actually leads to an enforcement. Like, it leads to the identification of that company that is employing an undocumented immigrant. Crazy. Wasn't it the same a few years ago that there was a policy, or there was like some law that actually gave Japanese citizens or Japanese people, actual, not just a resident like me, but an actual Japanese person, the right to ask a foreigner to show them their residence card to see whether it's valid or not. I think that was in the news sometime a few years ago. Isn't that just ridiculous? Like, any Japanese person can look at you and be like, I doubt your papers are in order. Here, show me. How crazy is that? So now the same thing is happening, and this time they're getting a reward. Just that you have to snitch, or you have to give up a company that is employing somebody that is here undocumented, or here illegally, or doing a job under false papers. But that's not how it's going to go down. Everybody, like, racial profiling is going to take center stage. The governor actually of Ibaraki Prefecture had a press conference, and then he said that, no, this thing, we are not going to take information solely because somebody saw a person that looks different from them, i.e. a black person or Indian or somebody that just doesn't look Japanese. So it's not going to be based on your physical appearance, i.e. the color of your skin. And he tried, he came out and he tried to like really clarify and specify that the information has to be very, very credible. And at the same time, but also, what makes the information credible? Like, how do you know? Sorry. But at the same time, he made it clear that the budget is not unlimited. So they can't take hundreds of thousands of cases, because they can't afford to pay hundreds of thousands, millions of yen into these tip-offs. Yeah, there was a budget, something between 200 and 250,000 yen. So if you divide it by 10,000, I guess that will lead to close to 20 cases per year. Man, but it is kind of crazy, and it is a little bit unsettling. Or not unsettling, just sad, man. People need to be a little bit more compassionate, man. People need to understand. Immigrants, come on, man. Really, 4% of us are now responsible for all the crime in South Africa, or all the crime in Japan. If all foreigners left South Africa, there will still be rapes and heists and murder and breaking ins. I'm willing to bet a lot. Like, if all foreigners left, the crime rate wouldn't drop in South Africa. it wouldn't. Same here in Japan. I mean, the same here as well in Japan. For some reason, crimes are kind of growing here in Japan. There's some crazy story now about 4 high school kids that broke into somebody's house, and it led to the person being injured, like severely injured. The lady got stabbed. 4 high school kids. Imagine 16-year-olds. What the hell? But yeah, this whole policy thing in Ibaraki, I really think, it's maybe there's a lot of good in it. It's supposed to help, because there's a lot of exploitation that also happens here in Japan. People are being overworked. People are being threatened at work and exploited. So in a way, it could help. And I think the only way that actually can help is through inside information. So, because how else is somebody going to know? How are you going to look at me on the street and assume I'm an undocumented immigrant? How, like what is going to give me away? So it has to be snitching. It has to be like inside info. For example, if I'm working for Amazon, and I've got a friend that works for Amazon as well, and I confide in them. I tell her, oh my goodness, I'm supposed to go renew my visa, my renewal has been declined, yada 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 yada. Only that person, I think, can maybe go tell somebody else, and they tell somebody else, and the story circulates, and eventually it finds somebody who's willing to give me up, and they want to take 10,000 yen. I wonder what they will do with 10,000 yen, because you can't even buy a good pair of sneakers with 10,000 yen, man. 1,000 rand. You can't even drink for 2 hours with it. And then it's finished. 2 craft beers. For us who drink craft beer a lot. 2 craft beers. That 10,000 is gone. Okay, maybe not 2, like 4 drinks. Because craft beer is here is like 2,000 yen. Almost 2,500. Not the point. Alcoholism is not the point. The point here, ladies and gents, is people are extremely hard on immigrants. Yes, nobody is denying that there's a few here and there that are undocumented and they don't have good intentions wherever they are, whether it's somewhere in the middle of Shinjuku or in the middle of Hillbrow. Yes, there are a few here and there. Some it's out of complete desperation. And people commit crime because they're desperate, because, it's their last resort. There's nothing else that they can do. Except for psychopaths, of course, people who have fun just committing crime, except for those people. I'm not talking about them. But is it really such a big issue? Like in South Africa, guys, it was so sad to see people marching, wearing the spandlas and mkhele, and they walking around with a whip, beating people, dragging people out of their homes, burning their property, looting. Come on, guys. What happened to Ubuntu? South Africa of Mandela. Come, guys. No, man. You remember back in the apartheid days, our leaders were in exile. They lived in Mozambique, in Swaziland, in Zambia. Zambia was called a state within a state, South Africa within another country. People went to Tanzania, many places. Our leaders, had it not been for all of Africa and to some extent other European and Asian countries, had it not been for them, where would we be now? Like, where would our heroes, where would the Thabo Mbekis be? Imagine if Thabo Mbeki tried to go to Russia through Botswana and Tanzania, and then those guys, they snitched on him. They're like, he's here, come get him. Then we'd have never had, I am an African. I owe my beings to. Yeah, this is silly. I know this video doesn't really have a lot to do with living abroad, my life abroad, or fun times here in Japan. But these things, eventually, they're gonna affect me. I won't be surprised if somebody knocks on my door one day and asks to look at my papers because a neighbor saw me and they maybe don't like me. They don't like the noises that I make in my house. They don't like the PlayStation that I play late at night. And they'll think, oh, this guy, he's a foreigner, he's from Africa. Africa the show, Africa the show. Yeah, and then, and then I get harassed. Or even while walking on the street, who knows? Somebody could just yell at me and Kesati on there and call the cops and say that I'm an undocumented immigrant. I like jogging. Imagine I'm just jogging down the road and I don't have my resident card with me, and then they ask me for ID. I could get into trouble. Because rest assured, racial profiling is gonna erupt from all of this. There are many people trying their best. Nepalese shops. The visa requirements are getting harder and harder anyway. Ibaraki Prefecture, do you have to make it even harder? Yes, fine. The intentions are good. You are trying to control the problem as you should. But giving people, like, incentivizing it like that, 10,000 yen, man, you're just going to create a lot of headache for yourself. For yourselves. My English. Yeah. So, yeah, I just don't know. I just feel like the world is just in this state now where, because the economy is not doing well for many people, and the easiest thing to do is to blame somebody else. Instead of blaming the government, instead of holding your government officials accountable, it's easier to just say, There is this guy from Kenya, Frank from Kenya. He's the one. Kick him out. There is Sean from Zimbabwe. He's the one. He's taking my job. He's an engineer. I could have been an engineer. That time, you are holding a journalism degree. What job? Yeah, what jobs are those? Like, which jobs are foreigners taking from you guys? Well, here we know in Japan, it's either English teaching. I don't know who I'm stealing an English teaching job from here in Japan, because people don't speak English in the first place. Either English teaching or packing packages or cleaning toilets. If I'm lucky, yes, if I could speak Japanese, maybe I would work in a hotel, or I would work at an old age home, at a hospital, help out. Jobs that I know young Japanese people don't want to do. So which jobs are those that I'm stealing? Which girls am I stealing, bro? Which ones? Which girls, you know? Imagine being in Japan for almost 9 years and I've only dated, what, 1 or 2 Japanese girls? I've got a bad rep. So yeah, so what is it? What is it? And also, just why is it also like the white people, the white immigrants that are here? Are you guys also feeling it as much as we are? Do you guys get your visas denied randomly? It feels like the white people, they have the good life, man. I've got nothing against white people, and I've said it many times. In my next life, I'm coming back as a straight white man. Straight white man, straight out of California. Well, there aren't many of those in California. But yeah, wherever. I'll take Texas. Straight white man from Texas. At least I'll have dark skin from burning and from crossing the border to Mexico off. But yeah, white guys, are you guys enjoying your lives here? I know you are. Life is great for you guys. Man, so much privilege. I can't wait. I can't go through all of my lifetimes without experiencing white privilege. Honestly, I'll be very upset with God if that happens, or whoever created me. I'll be very upset with them. Very, very upset. Anyway, so Japanese people, man. Japanese people, please guys, don't be rats. Don't be snitches. Do not snitch. I said I had a story about snitching. When I first moved to Japan, I lived in Nagasaki, so southwestern Japan. And that's where I used to teach. And in Japan, they sort out the garbage. And the garbage also gets taken out depending on what type of garbage it is. It gets taken out on a different time of the week. So for example, Monday will be PET bottles. Tuesday will be burnable trash. Wednesdays would be mixed paper and boxes. And Thursday, again, it will be PET bottles and glass bottles. Friday will be recyclable stuff like cans and, again, paper or, yeah, whatever. So that's the idea, right? You have to sort your garbage out. And I didn't know this. I knew a little bit of it. And they have different plastic bags as well. So my first couple of weeks, I'm in Japan, got into my apartment, and obviously I'm buying stuff, buying furniture, buying couches, and you accumulate boxes and styrofoam and packaging. I dumped it all in one bag, and now there's a big pile of it in my room. I lived in a very small room in Nagasaki. It's all piling up. I want space. I'm like, you know what? Let me just take this down. I took out all that trash on the wrong day, but I didn't take it to the trash area where you all put the trash so that it gets collected. I didn't take it there. Because it was late at night, I just put it outside my door, closed the door, went to sleep. Because in my head, I'm like, tomorrow I'll wake up and then take it down to the trash picking area. And yes, I wake up in the morning, showered, everything. On my way to work, I take the trash that I left outside, I put it down there, and I go to work. Guys, this all happens before 8 a.m. I get to work at like 7:45, 7:45 in the morning. I get to work, I sit down, set up my workstation, and 30 minutes or so after the morning meeting with all the teachers, the vice principal comes to my desk and he's like, hey, Tietzy, can I have a moment with you? I'm like, yeah, sure. What's up, my guy? He's like, somebody called the school and they said that you left your trash outside your door overnight. I'm like, what? What? Who? In fact, in my head, I'm thinking, how do they even know where I work? They called the exact school where I work. They called the exact school where I went to. Because I had 3 schools in Nagasaki that I attended. They called the right one on the right day. I'm like, how did they even know that? Japanese people, lawyer. Yo. But anyway, so fine. Now I'm like, no, you know what? Kyoto Sensei is like vice principal. Kyoto Sensei-ish. No, I'm sorry, man. The stuff was piling up. I just put it outside because I knew in the morning I would take it down. I mean, that's sensible, right? Like, okay, not sensible. Let me not say that. In South Africa, you would do it because in South Africa, man, people don't make a fuss about such things. I'm like, oh, okay, no, I guess I made a mistake. And he's like, yeah, please don't do it again. Japanese people are fussy, and he was really cool. He's like, don't worry, you'll get used to how things work here, and in no time you are fine. I'm like, God damn it. God, yeah, who snitched on me? So now it's bothering, it's eating me, that who snitched on me? And first of all, how do they know it was me? I lived there because I'd never seen any of my neighbors. Never seen. So right next to me was my supervisor. So when you come as an ALT, an English teacher on the JET program, they usually assign you a supervisor, most likely it's an English teacher, so somebody that can speak English, and that person is like kind of responsible for you for your first couple of weeks, integrating you into school, showing you things around. Yeah, so my supervisor was sitting right. I'm sure that was strategically made. They put them close to you so that it's easy for communication. And she's like, oh, I just overheard the thing that happened to you. And she's like, don't worry about it. I'm Japanese people. I know Japanese people. They are very nosy. They are into people's business, especially in a small city like this where everybody knows everybody. So I'm now whispering. I'm like, but how did they know it was me? And they're like, no, they probably just went. The landlord must live nearby, and they probably went to them and said, whoever lives in this room, like my house number, whoever lives here did so and so and so. So the landlord obviously knows who lives in each room, and they have their details. I'm like, so that must have been it. That's what happened. So here I know in my current apartment now, I know if I do something wrong, somebody will know, my landlord will be told, and I'll get deported. Simple as that. That's why I live by the law. I follow every letter of the law. Every letter of the law, is that? No. But anyway, I follow all the rules and all the guidelines to the T, my friend. I do not mess around. I love Japan. I love living here. And I am not getting deported just yet. I'm not going to get deported for trash can or vacuuming at night. Yeah, it is a thing. It is a thing. You can't vacuum too late at night because it's noisy. And the walls here are quite thin. People will hear you. Yeah. Anyway, there was too much ranting and ranting and going on about Japanese people being snitches. Guys, please don't do it, man. 10,000 yen is not worth it. Really, what are you going to do with 10,000 yen? You're just going to make somebody else's day miserable. In fact, make their whole life miserable. And are you going to be happy when somebody gets deported? Or a company now gets a fine because they were trying to give out a helping hand and help someone that was really in need? No, come on, man. There's really no point into it. Everybody must just relax, guys. The economy is terrible right now. The yen is doing shit. Sending money home is a pain in my ass because it's expensive. Buying stuff overseas is expensive. Buying stuff even here in Japan is expensive. Yes, the economy is hard. Yes, people are on the back foot or against the ropes. It is tough for all of us. But it's not the foreigners. It's not the immigrants' fault. Yeah, if there are too many undocumented immigrants in your country, blame the government. Blame the people that are supposed to enforce the rules and the laws. Blame the people that are selling the visas or taking bribes for passports. But don't blame the individual. And with that, guys, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully the next video is nice, it's light, and we do something fun about Japan. Maybe I'll tell you guys about my trip to Taiwan recently. Other than that, it's almost weekend here. Enjoy yourself. Have a good time.